Hey, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Player Profiler Today, broadcasting live this Wednesday, August the 7th. I'm Grindberg, or Mike Lindberg at FF Canuck 99, your senior analyst at the Player Profiler news desk. And I'm pumped to have you all here as we dive into the latest and greatest in fantasy football. Joining me today is our very own Leo Grandio at Smooth1074, a key player in the Player Profiler news desk. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We'll break down crucial updates, make or break your fantasy season, key players, key injuries, emerging stars. Things are happening in the league right now. We're going to dive into the Brandon Aiyuk situation, the Christian McCaffrey situation, and the Puka Nacua. So before we get into that, let's get our intro going, and then we'll introduce our guest. Welcome in, Leo. Leo from the news desk. Tell our folks where to find you, what you're doing, and what you do for the Player Profiler team here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me. Very honored to be here. Basically, I'm Leo Grandio. I've been with the Player Profiler at the news desk for a year now. It's been awesome. I mainly focus on the AFC East division. So any news that breaks, I'm part of that team that gets that job done for that. I've been. You can follow me also at Smooth 1074 on X. That's where you can, if you have any questions, feel free to reach me there. I've been doing fantasy football for about 24 years. It's changed. The game's changed. Back then, there wasn't as much like information how it is now. You can get it, at your fingertips with the phones these days. So
Oh,
it's the technology has been out of this world.
no kidding. No kidding. So, yeah, you work for the news desk. Anything else you got going on outside of the Player Profiler world?
Yeah, I also write for Fighting Chance Fantasy. They're the ones that kind of gave me my first break writing fantasy football content. I've been with them for about since 2020 when I joined them during COVID, and it's been very enlightening to me because I never thought of myself as a writer. I always talked about football and discussed it with my friends. So it kind of gave me an opportunity. They gave me an opportunity to write. I've done different types of articles with them, like a Survivor article a week, or I've done start and sit articles, part of the waiver wire crew there. The one article that I do every week with them is one of my favorites. It's called the preemptive strike, which is it's kind of like a waiver wire before the games even start. So it gives you the like an opportunity. I try to give it towards the end of the week, like a Friday, like Saturday, so that there's some players to pick up before the games happen, so you can get ahead of the waiver wire and your league mates, and if the guy breaks out, he's already on your team. So that's
Totally.
the and
That's
I
a,
also I'm sorry. Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. And then and the last thing is I also do a podcast called Kings of Fantasy Football, and I started that recently with my co-host Pablo, and we've been having a good time with that.
Awesome. Well, I'm thrilled to have you, and we're hoping to see a little bit more of your face here on the YouTube channel and on the Twitter stream. So shout out to the 145 live viewers right now, checking us out right now, and let's get into our top story because that's what the folks are here for. So let's get into that right now. So, with the season almost underway here, we're getting a lot of buzz around Brandon Aiyuk, and it's heating up. It's definitely something fantasy gamers should be paying attention to. The New England Patriots recently looked into trading for Aiyuk, but now have decided to focus on their younger wide receivers instead. This move might mean fewer trade options for Aiyuk, but the ongoing contract dispute with the 49ers still makes it a possibility he could be on the move before the season kicks off. The big issue right now is Aiyuk's contract. negotiations with the 49ers have stalled, making it more likely he could be traded rather than sticking around in San Francisco. Any team interested in Aiyuk would have to meet the 49ers asking price and also work out a new deal with him, even though there's been a lot of talk. No trade has been finalized yet, and various teams are still in the mix. Aiyuk's situation is even more uncertain because he skipped the offseason program, isn't practicing in training camp, and when players like Christian McCaffrey go on record and say that he was a former teammate, which came out yesterday, things are looking gloom for his future in San Francisco at this stage. Fantasy gamers, keeping an eye on Aiyuk's situation is going to be key. If he stays with the 49ers, that strong connection with Brock Purdy could mean big things for his production. We all know the upside there. But if he is traded, his value could change depending on his new role, what team it's with. What do you think here? Where do you think the frontliners are right now for the Aiyuk situation there, Leo? Are we looking at a Steeler situation? Are we looking at the Browns? What's your instinct going on right now that the Patriots have kind of taken their chips out of this race?
Yeah, I heard that he really didn't want to go there as well, like to New England. So that probably led to them bailing out. Between the Browns and the Steelers, I prefer that he kind of goes to the Browns team, because the reason that they have what do you call it, he, if part of the what I've heard of the deal is that they're gonna have Amari Cooper
Yeah,
get sent back to the 49ers. So when that happens, he's gonna be the wide receiver one right off the bat. If he goes to the Steelers, I don't, with Arthur Smith there, I don't really like, that, what he did with at Atlanta. I like Pat Freiermuth there. 'Cause
yeah,
I think, he works well with the tight ends, but like Drake London kind of was held back when Arthur Smith was there. So, and George Pickens is already there. Then he will go there too. So, like, I don't think he's gonna, his options. He won't have as much options as he will in Cleveland. So
absolutely.
I prefer that he stays with the Niners. Like you said, he has a great camaraderie and chemistry with Purdy. But if it does happen, I hope it goes to Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, out of those fantasy teams, I think that is the best outcome at this stage. When the Commanders were involved with that, I thought I was liking that situation. There wasn't many teams, in my opinion, that Brandon Ayuk could go to that would increase his fantasy value in reality. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was hearing that the Buffalo Bills were interested in him, and I think that would have skyrocketed his value. But there's not many teams out there right now that are going to put Brandon Ayuk in a better situation than he's in right now in San Francisco. So, yeah, I'm with you here. I mean, if there's a hope for anything, it'd be like that Amari Cooper trade and go from there. His value probably won't be that significant in Pittsburgh. I mean, it'll be very even to what it is now. What he's doing in San Francisco. That's granted if George Pickens stays there. If he's included in that trade, you never know. And there has been some rumors of that too. So you never know. Nothing is off the table there. And yeah, that Brandon Ayuk situation is just a saga that continues to get airway. And I'm almost tired of talking about it. I just want him to get traded already so we can move on from this situation. Now, moving on to our next one, we're going to talk about injuries. And injuries happen all the time. And it's really hard for us to, get a hold of it as fantasy gamers. But Player Profiler's got a tool now in our arsenal that is going to help fantasy gamers kind of have a little foresight about injuries. And let's hear from the Podfather right now. He's got a great insight on that.
Hey, you're in your fantasy draft and someone says, hey, that guy's injury prone. I don't want him. And you're like, I don't know. I don't think you can predict injuries. Well, guess what? Now you can! Injury proneness is real! At Player Profiler, we have the data on these players, and it's all in the Injury Finder app. Their injury track record back through time, exactly where they were injured, how severe it is. We look at the BMI data, and we crunch it all together, and we give you probabilities that a player will miss multiple games this NFL season, as well as the complete database of NFL injuries and the ability to compare two players and look at their injury track record. The Injury Finder is powerful, and it's only $5. If it's worth it to have that peace of mind when you're drafting, go get it.
Yeah, I love the Podfathers segments when he comes into our show. It's good. And shout out again now, 250 live streamers right now. So we are hitting a good milestone here, folks. So let's dive into some more 49er news, because I guess that's just what's happening right now in NFL football. So Christian McCaffrey, calf injury, what fantasy gamers need to know before they draft. As we get closer to NFL season, the 49ers are dealing with a big setback on top of the Brandon Aiyuk situation. Star running back Christian McCaffrey has strained his calf and will be out of practice for about 2 weeks, which has fantasy football gamers worried. Although McCaffrey won't be playing in the preseason, Coach Kyle Shanahan expects him to be back in time for the regular season opener on September 9th. Even though this injury isn't expected to be serious, it does put a damper on McCaffrey's preseason prep. McCaffrey's been a game changer for the 49ers since he joined them from Carolina midway through the 2022 season. Over 27 games with San Francisco, he's racked up 2,200 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns. And, he threw in 111 catches for an additional 1,000 yards and 11 more scores. Last year, he led the league with 2,000 total yards and tied the most touchdowns with 21. He was the Offensive Player of the Year award. We talk about McCaffrey in depth. We know what he means for fantasy football. Adding to this confusion, the 49ers are also missing their backup running back, Elijah Mitchell, who is out for about a week with a strained hamstring. To fill the gap, the team has signed veteran Matt Breida, who's been with San Francisco before and knows the system well. Breida's past success with the team makes him a solid addition, especially with McCaffrey and Mitchell both sidelined with some preseason injuries. For fantasy gamers, McCaffrey's injury is definitely something to watch. Even though he's been the top pick, RB1 in recent years, his injury history and his current calf strain might make you second guess his early draft position. But other top options like CeeDee Lamb, his contract situation might make you leery of him. So I'm still in on Christian McCaffrey. He's had 2 seasons of very, very solid football, and he's been able to stay healthy. And let's give out to, Isaac Garendo shout out to Schultze. Schultze from the news desk is in here, and he's got an opportunity as well to break out as well. So Garendo had a really good testing at the combine, and his relative athletic score was off the charts. What do you think about that situation in San Francisco there, Leo? What's happening there? Are you worried about McCaffrey at all?
Yeah, I'm a little worried, but for now, if I was drafting right now, and I actually have the number 1 pick on a draft coming up on Friday, so I'm still gonna pick him. But the further along that it gets, towards the regular season, that I'll start worrying then. He does have a calf strain. He did have a calf strain at the end of last season. That he missed the last game of the regular season, but he rested. He came back strong in the playoffs. He averaged 140 yards total yards per game. He had 5 total touchdowns, and he had even had 19 receptions in the playoffs after that calf strain. If he's healthy, he's a stud. So I'm still drafting him though.
Oh yeah, I mean he's a must draft. It might get you off the 101, maybe. I'm not so sure you can do that at this stage. I know some people are putting Bijan ahead of him now because of this news. I'm going to wait and see with that one, because I'm not convinced that the Falcons are going to completely turn it around. We have to see what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins' ACL injury. If there's anybody that I would maybe pick in the running back room ahead of McCaffrey, would be Breece Hall. I just think he's lined up for a monster season. His touchdowns, his red zone looks last year were like minimal. I think he had one look in the red zone last year, and he still finished as the RB2. I'm really high on Breece Hall. If there's anybody that could outseed, I think it would be him this year. But McCaffrey's my 101, and I'm looking at him as that. Now let's move along a little bit here, and let's get into some Puka Nacua news. He's entering his 2nd season and recently banged up his knee. Rookie sensation. We're talking about Puka here, and he's entering his 2nd year in the NFL. He's dealing with his knee injury right now. He was explosive. He set records. He had a rookie season, 1,400 yards, 105 catches. He stunned the league with his exceptional play. He was drafted in the 5th round. We all know this. Cup is returning a little bit more healthy now. That might downplay Puka's situation now a little bit. There is some injury concern now because he's had some injury history back in his college days. He had some foot and ankle and leg injuries, which limited his production, but also I think made him slip under the radar. And he probably would have been drafted a lot higher if he hadn't been dealing with those types of injuries throughout his college career. Last season, he was the first time he played a full season, but these knee injuries raises some questions about his durability. Nacua finished as the wide receiver 4 last year and is currently being drafted as the wide receiver 7. While his injury isn't a deal breaker, it's worth monitoring given how competitive that top tier of fantasy wide receivers are. It's tough to pick them at this stage now when you think about what's there. You got Cooper Kupp coming in. What's your take on Puka? Do you think he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver this year there, Leo, or is it gloom for him in his future now that this injury pops up?
As long as he's healthy, I think he definitely has a chance to repeat a phenomenal rookie season that he had. Sean McVay's already said that he should be ready for week 1, so that should calm people's nerves a little. It's crazy how many injuries are happening daily in training camp, which happens every year. You just want these guys to make it to the regular season, and things happen, but they happen during the off season too. So you just want them to stay healthy and go from there. But I definitely think he can repeat as a top 10.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's young. He's got the opportunity there, and when in a Sean McVay offense, you can never discount their wide receivers. They make their wide receivers 3 relevant and very relevant. So yeah, I 100% agree with you there, Leo. I think Puka's got a bright future, and it might be tough for him to crack the top 10 now when you think about it, but he's going to be in that conversation, and if you can get him out of value now because
Right.
people might be scared of this ADP now, then maybe hop on the Puka train again because he silenced a lot of critics last year. So yeah. All right. So next up we got Bo Nix, and is he poised to win the quarterback battle in Denver? Who knows? He's getting all the beat reporters love right now, but when the Denver Broncos put him 3rd on the depth chart yesterday, made for some interesting takes, but this quarterback battle is for surely heating up. Rookie sensation Bo Nix. He's going to be in that vying for that starting role. He's emerging as a strong candidate week 1 for that starting job, but it's no surprise given the investment the Broncos made in him, selected him 12th overall in this draft. Nick's high draft position reflects the team's confidence in his potential. His final college season at Oregon was nothing short but spectacular as he threw for 4,500 yards, 45 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. Nick's performance demonstrated his ability to lead and make plays, setting him apart from his competition. Nick's significant draft capital, combined with the extensive college experience, gives him the distinct advantage in that quarterback race, in my opinion. He had 61 college starts. He brings a wealth of experience and maturity to the field. His current ADP right now is QB 27 on FFPC, makes him a potential bargain if he secures that, quarterback 1 job right out of the gate. With Nick's, he might not be the priority in single quarterback leagues, but in 2 quarterback leagues, his blend of talent, experience, and the Broncos' investment in him makes him a compelling option for me in later rounds of drafts. I'm more on the train of I think he's gonna, make that starting role with the Broncos right out of the hop. What are your thoughts on that situation? Is this smoke? Do you think it's just a Sean Payton kind of just shadowing his quarterback a little bit just to give him not that spotlight in training camp? Do you think he's gonna get him right in there? What's happening there?
Yeah, I think that initial depth chart, just to light a little fire under his ass. But
Yeah.
they drafted him early for a reason. They like you said, they use a high draft capital, draft him in the first round, 11th overall, and you know his competition is Jarrett Stidham. Like, come on, he hasn't done much. He's a journeyman. He's a career backup, and that's what he probably will remain as long as Bo Nix is healthy. Yeah, to me, Bo Nix does fit Champagne's offensive scheme better than Stidham to begin with, and I definitely think that he's gonna he has his they brought in Franklin, his college college teammate, and Cortland Sutton, he does have some weapons there that he can produce. Definitely in a single quarterback league, yeah, like definitely agree with you that right now he has no reason to be drafted in a single quarterback league, but he can be a value down the line for two quarterback and super flex leagues for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what's your take then on Troy Franklin? Or do you have him ahead of Marvin Mims in that lineup right now? You mentioned Troy Franklin, but you excluded Marvin Mims. I'm really high on Troy Franklin. I'm trying to
Yeah,
get him everywhere. I think just his yards per route run, all those metrics, his first down per route run. He was highly graded in my pre-draft situation. So I was really surprised to see him fall as far as he
yeah.
did. I love that situation he's in with his college quarterback there and Bo Nix. So what's your take on Troy Franklin, and what do you think's who's gonna emerge as the top target getter there in the Broncos offense if you were to peg one now?
Um, I would still think Cortland Sutton will probably be
Yep,
the main, but between him and Mims, yeah, I would definitely go with Franklin. I would draft Franklin before Mims, as a late round flyer. He can I think he has a definitely PPR potential for sure in deeper leagues.
absolutely. All right, so folks, if you're enjoying this show, don't miss out on more exclusive content. Subscribe to the Player Profiler YouTube channel at Player Profiler News. Follow us on Twitter if you haven't already at profiler_NFL, and visit our website, playerprofiler.com/news, for all the latest breaking news and impact on fantasy football. Stay ahead of the game with us because we are giving you fresh content every single day, and it is news as it flows. We're breaking news as it happens, folks. So please follow us on Twitter, on YouTube, and follow us on our website there. Let's move into Devonte Smith, who now has been shining in camp. What to expect for him in 2024? He's had an outstanding camp so far. Fantasy gamers should take note. Reports indicate that Smith is crushing it, showcasing his exceptional skills and versatility. Notably, he's been lining up more frequently in the slot, a move that could significantly enhance his role in a Kellen Moore's offense. I'm not really high on the Philadelphia Eagles this year. I think they're going to regress a little bit, but I think this plays really good into Devonta Smith's situation. Shane Steichen leaving last year showed a little bit about the passing opportunity that Jalen Hurts has. His passing efficiency went down, his passing attempts went down, and I think that they're going to be relying on a little bit different type of offense this year. Saquon Barkley is coming in there. They're going to be running the ball quite a bit. Jalen Hurts is going to have that rushing upside, but Devonta Smith, I think, is going to reap the benefits here, especially if he's showing out. I'm a little less bullish on AJ Brown this year. What are your thoughts on this? Philadelphia Eagle wide receiver room. Are you following this buzz on Devonta Smith? I mean, he could outperform AJ Brown this year, and that wouldn't shock me. Would that shock you?
No, definitely it's a possibility. I think what I'm really excited about with the Eagles just to begin with is Saquon Barkley going there. Um, I know it's Devontae, but he what Berkeley's had to deal with in New York for the last few years with a horrendous offensive line, no talent around him. Like, when him being there is going to open up the like one-on-one coverage for Davante for sure, because they're going to be focusing on AJ Brown, and that's going to allow Davante to have more one-on-one coverage there for sure. Um, yeah, I think like you say, he can come battle for being the top dog in Philly this year, and he could, like, his average. I think he can probably he's gonna hover like around the 80 receptions, a thousand yards, and 6 to 7 touchdowns, which that's what he's been averaging the last couple of years.
Yeah,
So
and he's a great guy. Like, I mean, I think, as a wide receiver 2 on a team, he's probably my favorite target out of all those guys, above Jalen Waddle, above T. Higgins. These guys that are kind of being put in that hat of like these prolific. They could go on to another team and be the wide receiver 1. Well, I got my doubts about T. Higgins, and I've got my reservations, about that situation there. So let's figure out what is going to happen in Philly. And I think Barkley is going to be a key to their success this year. And I think they're going to be a little bit more run centric. And I think people are going to be a little bit surprised about how Philly comes out of the gate. We'll get one more story to hit up here, but have we talked about the world famous draft kit? Because it is coming soon and it is here now. Drafts are happening, redrafts are happening. And this draft kit is transformed fantasy football. It's transformed your prep. Everything you want is all in one. It's all inclusive. It has team insights, player analysis, cheat sheets. This draft kit is the benchmark by prioritizing quality insights, practical tools, empowering fantasy gamers to make smart decisions and dominate their leagues. When I became a premium member of Player Profiler before I was a content creator, it helped me get to that next level. They have great rankings, and it's a key piece to anybody for winning their lineup. So get into us and let's go. Now, our final story here before we end the folks for the night here is let's talk about Jonathon Brooks here. He's recovering from that ACL injury. It was reported earlier in the offseason that he should be ready for camp and everything like that, but he's been sidelined for the entire preseason. Fantasy gamers should focus now on Chuba Hubbard early in this season for value. Panthers head coach Dave Canales has confirmed that Brooks won't be back until week 3 or 4 of this preseason, making him Hubbard a key addition now. Given Brooks' delayed return, Hubbard is set to make a big role early on, offering valuable points. Currently, Hubbard is being drafted as the 14th round in underdog. So snagging him could pay off, especially if you're in a dynasty league and you have Jonathon Brooks. You put that draft capital. I think Chuba Hubbard is going to offer some value in the long run. Not in the in the short term until Jonathon Brooks can get fully healthy. But I'm all in on Jonathon Brooks in dynasty and the latter half of this season. His talent, the Carolina Panthers moved up to get him, and they're surrounding Bryce Young with some people that can maybe make him a little bit more efficient this year. So I'm really buying into the dip of this Carolina Panthers offense in 2024. I think they're going to, return some value a lot on ADP, especially with their quarterback, their wide receiver, Deontay Johnson. I think he's a very good gem in this situation. What are your thoughts on the overall situation in Carolina there, Leo, and Jonathon Brooks in particular?
Yeah, definitely love Jonathon Brooks like you. I'm very high on him as well. If he's going like around the like 7th or 8th round right now, and definitely if he's if you decide to go zero RB, he's definitely someone to pick up and double up with Chuba Hubbard later in the draft, so that way you're covered. You can put Brooks on the IR. If he does not start, if he's out, hold him there, stash him there, and then hold Hubbard for the for the meantime till he's ready to for Brooks to come back. Deontay Johnson arriving is very important for Bryce Young development. He basically had Adam Thielen, who's very old, and not the same like he used to be. So it's definitely gonna give him another option to produce, and that the Panthers are definitely a up and coming offense. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, one more quick hitter here because news came in late this afternoon, and I didn't put it on the show sheet because it came in so late. But Josh Downs, he suffered an injury today, and it looks like he could be out, 3 to 4 weeks for the Colts, and that's a huge blow. I had a lot of stock in Josh Downs. I thought that he was going to have a really breakout season coming up this year, and it's putting a little bit of damper on that situation. I thought he was going to be a slot machine. I thought he was going to be a very a good security blanket for Anthony Richardson, especially when he's scrambling in the pocket there outside of the pocket. I think that would be a really good situation. He's a great separator. He's good in those intermediate and the slow routes. I just think this is a tough blow for the Indianapolis Colts after what they've seen with injury bugs in the past. What's your initial thought on the Josh Downs situation?
Yeah, I'm sad to hear it as well because I was high on him as well. Like on when on the other day that I did the podcast last week, he was actually one of my sleepers to pick up
Mm,
in draft. So that hurts. Hopefully he can come back. Those high ankle sprains are tough, and but yeah, it's definitely a bummer. Now, that just now we're going to see who picks it up. That only allows Pittman to get more looks, and then Donnie Mitchell has an
yeah,
opportunity to make to get more plays. With downs down. So
yeah. And then one more thing I saw as well is Christian Watson back on the injury bug. His injury hasn't been disclosed yet. I don't think it's super severe, but there's so much hype going on there, and I'm just gonna avoid him altogether because I'm worried about that situation, and I'm worried about his hamstrings, obviously, but he just can't stay healthy. So, are we bubble wrapping this guy, or are we shelving him?
supposedly, he worked off season with his hamstring. So I don't know. He's got to hire somebody else to because he didn't do a good job.
That's
Yeah, yeah, it's a shame because he's talented, but he just can't stay healthy. So I'll definitely like with you. I'm avoiding him. He's definitely one of my avoid players of the year. I don't want to deal with
yeah.
the questionable tag I had to deal with last year. I was high on him last year, and he was always questionable and out. So yeah, I'm gonna pass on that.
Either way, I'm all in on Jordan Love though. I think he's looking really good in
Yeah.
preseason, and no matter who's around him, he's made them all very relevant. No matter who's starting that lineup. So yeah,
Who do you
right.
like? What do you like? The other ones like between Reed and Wicks or Dobbs.
Who do I like? Reed, Wicks, or Dobbs? Well, I like Reed. I mean, obviously, I mean he's
Yeah.
he's starting. Between Dobbs and Wicks, I'm a much more of the Wicks fan than I am of the Dobbs fan. I saw a lot of really good things from Dontavian Wicks last year. His yards per route run, his first downs per route run, meaning when he was on the field, we're up there with some of the best in the league, with
Yeah.
some of the most elite people in the league. I know it's a small sample size, but when I look at that stuff, that is what I'm looking for. So but yeah, so that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm looking for there. So Leo, man, what a good time to have you on the show. I appreciate you coming on. That's it for today. We've gone through a lot. I'm Grindberg, Mike Lindberg, the senior analyst for the Player Profiler News Desk. A big shout out to you, Leo Grandio, for joining me and your expertise today. You want to give the folks a quick shout out and tell them where they can find you and all your stuff before we head out tonight?
Thank you so much again for having me. Had a great time here with you. You can follow me on Twitter or X at it's hard to say to get
No
away from
kidding.
Twitter, right? But yeah, it's at smooth 1074. I also write articles on Fighting Chance Fantasy, and you can also hear my podcast with my co-host Pablo that we do at Kings of Fantasy Football.
Awesome, man. You are a great guest. Your knowledge is important to have here. And let's just give our viewers a quick recap. We broke down the Brandon Aiyuk situation, McCaffrey's injury, and we kept you up to date with some situations that were happening with the Josh Downs and Christian Watson. So don't miss out on our next episode. Subscribe to Player Profiler YouTube channel at Player Profiler News and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all our latest content. Follow us on Twitter at profiler_NFL for real-time updates and visit our website at playerprofiler.news for comprehensive fantasy football coverage. Stay ahead of the game with us on Player Profiler. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Tomorrow, you're going to have Bradley Stalder with special guest Johnny Tuma bringing you what's going on in Player Profiler today. So from everybody at Player Profiler, we hope you have a great night. Thanks for joining us. Peace out.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.